What is up, guys? Welcome to the Unfazed Facts Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things Gym Leader Challenge. I'm Joshua Benson. I'm with my co-host, Jeff Baisch, and we're here on a Saturday night going to talk some more GLC. We had some San Antonio regionals happen the other weekend, and we had some 3 days of GLC, actually. That was absolutely insane. I think we had Friday at noon, Saturday at 1, or no, backwards. Friday at 2, Saturday at 1, and Sunday at noon. I was late to the first one. But other than that, we're going to talk some combos that you might see in Gym Leader Challenge as well. Some popular ones, some not so popular ones, but we want to know what your favorite GLC combo is. And you may or may not like the ones that we have to present. But other than that, I'm doing pretty great tonight. Actually, this week has been a pretty decent week. I've been feeling pretty good. So I work out a lot. I've had some good workouts this week, mainly because it was a rest week. And last week, I had broke my nose. We had a little basketball team building thing. I broke my nose. And I also got like a minor, moderate to heavy sprain on my ankle, and that felt really good, especially over San Antonio weekend. It was a little hefty strolling. But what about you, Jeff? How was your week? Was it much better than mine?
I was going to say, my week sounds much better than yours did. Yeah, a normal work week. You know, we had snow days all last week. I'm a teacher, so this week was just like the first full week that we've all had in a while. So like Thursday and Friday, we were all like, this feels like too much school. And it was. I'm going to be honest with you. We ended up with a nice little pep rally at the end of the day. Pep rallies are awful. I do not like pep rallies whatsoever. But, putting, 2,000 kids in a gym for 50 minutes, what are you going to expect? But you know what? I left the pep rally invigorated with school spirit. Go Bengals. That's all I got to say. So kudos to that. I will say, if we're going to talk about GLC combos, Josh, my favorite GLC combo is us. The JBs, Josh Benson and Jeff Baisch. We are, of course,
JB squared.
We did it. And for everyone who's interested, I finally did it, Josh. I am free from having to play fire, at least for the next year at my locals. Yeah. I have accrued the elusive fire badge. It just took me like 5 weeks to do it. I'm so happy that I get to play something else now.
Dude, congratulations on your badge. That is awesome, especially a fire badge. What was your favorite combo of the night on that? Or are we going to talk about that in the podcast today?
We are going to talk about it coming up in a bit. My favorite combo, though, that we're not going to talk about, though, was I started Torchic. And for those of you who don't know, this is the Torchic with the ancient trait ability that can attack twice. It's got like a Delta Barrage or Omega Barrage, whatever that ability is called. I say ability. It's not really an ability. It's the trait. But it can attack twice. So the Torchic's attack is terrible. It is like 1 energy, do 20 damage if you flip heads. So my opponent started a 70 HP basic and passed the turn to me without benching anything else. So in order for me to take the KO, I had to attach fire energy, have muscle band, and flip 2 heads. All of that happened off of a greens exploration. And
oh my goodness. That's the best combo I've ever heard of.
Right?
I don't think it's ever happened. A Torchic, getting a donk, muscle band, fire energy, hitting double heads. I mean, Snorlax players dream of hitting double heads if they don't have a therapeutic energy on.
Well, we did it, and that's how I beat water. For anyone who was curious, that's how you beat water, is you just donk the 70 HP basic. Don't let anything else get set up.
That's how I beat. You ever listen to Aaron Carter back in the day?
That's like the Backstreet Boys, like younger brother, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure I have, because the name Aaron Carter sounds super familiar.
Well, R.I.P. Aaron Carter, but he had a song called That's How I Beat Shaq. And whenever you said That's How I Beat Water, that's exactly the tune that was going through my head. It was like, that's how I beat water. Anyways, that's beside the point. We had San Antonio regionals happen this last weekend. And that being said, like I said before earlier, there were 3 GLC tournaments that happened over the weekend. And the first and third ones, I believe, had quite a bit of players. I think the one on Friday maybe had 60 to 70 something players. The one on Saturday had, I think, only like a little over 20 players. And the one on Sunday had 70 plus easy players. It was quite a bit of players. It was awesome to see so many GLCers in one spot, just dueling it out so you can get a 3-0 because, we only played 3 rounds. I think Gaming Gen plays only 3 rounds through, unlike day 2 events where you got to play 4 to 5 rounds. I remember my first GLC tournament ever at a regionals. This was in Arlington, I believe, in like 2023, I believe, 2022. Anyways, we played 5 hours of GLC, and I know that other people have played more, but that's quite a bit of play at a regionals, especially if you play in a standard event or anything like that. It's quite a bit of stamina. And anyways, Gaming Gym was kind of easy because it's just 3 rounds. You're just playing 3 rounds regardless. If other people have 3-0s, you're still playing. But I believe in the first day there was quite a array. I think there was a lot of psychic. There were some pictures in the Discord of somebody who had went around. I think was it Jamie Run in the Discord?
Yep, good old Jamie Run, one of the best professors around. Yeah, I think he was judging that event. He didn't get to judge the other events, if I'm not mistaken, but, had the opportunity. At least maybe it might have been one of his friends that was judging it and was just giving him the info, but was able to get the whole meta call for the day. Not a lot of fighting, not a lot of fairy, if I recall. But
I don't think there was much fire. Yeah, I don't think there was much fire either, was there?
Never is.
Anyways, there was a bunch of psychic. I think there was way more psychic than usual. There was below average water. There was about average, maybe slightly above on colorless. And then there was a bunch of just other decks in there, other typings. There were even some metal decks in there as well. And, throughout the weekend, there was a bunch of Gym Leader Challenge to be had. You go around to all the vendors, and there were so many different GLC options as well, unless Full Grip Games wasn't there, and they usually have the best spread and the best selection of Gym Leader Challenge cards. And I was very, not upset, but disappointed that they weren't there. Yeah, I had actually saved up a stack of money. I didn't even spend my money because Full Grip wasn't there. I'm keeping a little stack of money until I find either their vendor or I'm back up there at Full Grip Games to spend some of that money, because they just have such a good selection of cards to get. And, the best way to support the father of GLC is to spend their money at Full Grip Games. We don't have a code there, but you can do that. But yeah, GLC was awesome. I don't get to talk much about Friday because I was 7 minutes late to the first one. But I believe a water deck that we'll talk about here in a little bit and a psychic deck both went 3-0 on Friday, did very well. And it was awesome. But on Saturday, there was a lot of people talking about, no lunch break at regionals. There was nothing. You weren't going to have a lunch break. Sometimes there's lunch breaks on past events, but not this one. So I remember hearing a huge gasp of like, oh no lunch. And anyways, I had my first match that day, and I'm not going to talk about much about standard, but my first match is just funny because I switched my deck at 10 p.m. the night before, and the deck that I got paired against in game 1 was the deck I switched from, which was Miraidon, which I never should have done, and I lost to it. Anyways, the next 2 games I bricked, and I told everybody I was going to go on a lunch and went and dropped and signed up for the Gym Leader Challenge event. And I was going to do that regardless. I think even if I won the next 2, I was going to go sign up for the Gym Leader Challenge. So I did, and I brought my wonderful water deck that I love so much, that I've put so much money into, because to bling out these decks is not an easy thing. It's been taking me like 3 or 4 years to slowly build this deck up. But my pairings for this specific day, I believe I had a round one. I wrote it down actually. Let me get this because I can't remember. I can't remember who I got paired up against a lot of the time because it's such a blur, especially at these big events where you're playing so many games of Pokemon.
You're having too much fun.
I was having too much fun playing it, and my heart rate got up. I have a watch that kind of watches my heart rate. My heart rate goes skyrocket whenever I'm playing games of Pokemon. Sometimes I just sit there and it's just fluttering, especially if I'm maybe down prizes or if I know I'm like my opponent has to have something. But anyways, my pairings for this specific day on Saturday was round one. I got Lightning, which I was as soon as he flipped over the Lightning, and I knew that was Lightning type. I leaned over and I said, I just took Weakness Guard out of my deck and switched it for a counter energy. And I remember being like, okay, I got to be extremely fast. So another combo that we're not going to talk about in our later combos is that I love to get a Citadel out if I can, and then try to get an attachment on there, and then Irida, Aqua Patch attach again on the next round, especially if I can get a special energy. So I was able to do that and apply a lot of pressure with the Titan very early, which does not have a weakness to lightning. So I was able to take plenty my fair share of prizes that would allow me to be able to tank one hit from a lightning, at least from this lightning spread list. Be able to tank that with a Wailord or a Inteleon. So I use Inteleon as an attacker as well. I can't remember the play-by-play, but I ended up being able to kind of get that win against the Lightning, which I was kind of sweating a little bit whenever I saw that I was playing against one of my main weaknesses. The next round was a water spread with Articuno. That one was very interesting. I was able to kind of slowly whittle down a little bit. I kept on getting hit and hit. I actually discarded my Rough Seas early on before I even knew it was water spread because I was like, oh, water, okay. It's not, it's going to be a hydro pump list, but no, it was water spread. And I was like, oh no. And whenever I did discard it, he was like, why would you do that? That's so good against this deck. And I was like, what? But anyways, it was funny. Ended up being able to Parallel City. The Parallel City stuck. And I kind of, did the whole escape rope, get rid of something that you didn't want type of thing, and be able to like make them discard two things that they didn't want other than one thing. So that was pretty fun. Got the win on that one. And then next one was a double hit Grass, which had gotten there by donking their first two opponents. And that one was pretty sweaty because they were talking about donking their last opponent. And anyways, I was like, okay. So I put two Pokemon down. I was like, I'm not gonna get donked, But then I realized it was double hit Grass, and they were able to get their Jump Pluff really early, get that double hit, and it was the 70 HP Remoraid that kept me in the game. If I didn't play that 70 HP Remoraid, I would not have gotten any further. So I almost got donked. I was like this close to getting donked and been able to get the win on that one as well with my water deck, which I love to play. I should have played that Sunday, but I ended up playing colorless on Sunday. But my opponents were also awesome. It was a great, fantastic game on Saturday. And then Sunday coming up, I'll play colorless, and I'll play this with Licky Licky with the Licks Go Crazy. And that was super fun to play with, especially once you kind of get it out. And one of the reasons why I didn't play Slaw King was because I wanted to play Licky Licky. So I took that out, kind of finagled it around a little bit, and it kind of worked out. I played against 3 Psychic lists on Sunday. 3 Psychic. The first one was Psychic Spread, lost some. which I kind of wasn't drawing what I needed to. I was able to, fan call, get out all my guys super early, and then I just couldn't find my Lost City, whom we both love Lost City so much, don't we, Jeff?
It's such a great card, Josh.
Oh yeah, Lost City. Everybody should play Lost City. That way nobody can have a good time. Um, but I can never find my Lost City to get rid of the Sableye. But that's the least of my worries. They got Blacephalon. They were able to pull off a really good attack that way. And it goes down to the last prize for each of us. I had the foolproof. They've already played their field blower. I played down the foolproof luxurious cape on my wonderful, wonderful Bibarel, which now was out of knockout range of a Sableye. So I'm playing this whole thing, trying to get rid of Sableye, but not being able to get rid of Sableye with Lost City just because the cards weren't drawing, at the right time. And at the very last play, I had game in hand. I was just going to be able to knock out. I forget about Lost Vacuum, and we get the Lux Cape Lost Vacuumed off, and the rest was history. I lost that game. I'm like, okay, that was a really good back and forth game. I'm not upset at all that I wasn't able to, get anything going, but it was awesome. I enjoyed it. It was a great game. I actually had a great time on Sunday. Round 2, I play up against another kind of a psychic spread deck. And this time I opened Fan Rotom Jet Energy with a Stadium, and the rest was history. I take 4 to 5 prizes with Fan Rotom. It was insane. A couple turns, I was able to escape rope Guzma. I was able to boss. I was able to just get in and out to be able to hit things that were being protected on the bench. And it was just the nuts. Me and my opponent were like laughing about it. The 4th or 5th prize taken. It was just kind of funny at that point. So there was that round. And then round 3, I play against the 3-0 of Friday. And she was playing her Dragapult Psychic deck, and that deck ran really well for her. I was able to do, plenty of things, but I kind of got Wobbuffeted for a little bit actually, and had to draw into my Licky Licky and Licks Go Crazy, and at that point when you're just kind of living off of the top deck and you do that, there's only so much you can do. And I was able to kind of claw my way back up to our last couple prizes as well. I think it was 1-to-1 prize again, and she was able to set up a checkmate-ish situation, and it was awesome. So Sunday actually was probably some of the best games. Saturday was just really fun to just play my water deck, but like I said, I wish I would have kind of been like back and forth. But there was a wide array of different decks that I saw being played throughout the weekend. I saw some Metal, I saw some Fairy, I saw, I just saw them all. And it was really fun to just see so many people enjoy Gym Leader Challenge. You were to play the side event, like the side of main GLC events, and you were also to do, 8-man pods, 4-man pods of just Gym Leader Challenge. And anyways, if you got points, you're able to spend them at the prize wall. And I ended up being able to get this beautiful fanny pack that I put some pins in. But man, this thing is so nice. Look at that, Jeff. Look at this fanny pack, dude. This thing is nuts.
I have never been as jealous as I am right now. I am a man of few fanny packs, and all I want, Josh, is your fanny pack. All right, that's all I want.
Oh, hey, I'll let you. Whenever we, maybe in Atlanta, we'll see.
Can I wear your fanny pack, Josh? I want to wear your fanny pack.
I would love for you to wear my fanny pack.
That's great. Well, I mean, just hearing your stories, I get to live vicariously through you. I was just like waiting and chomping at the bit this weekend. Everyone was mentioning how much fun they were having in San Antonio. I was feeling left out. I was messaging you. I was messaging Meteor. I was like, what are you guys doing? Hey, how's it going? Are you playing? So getting to live my GLC dreams through you guys was great. And now that I hear some of the matchups that you played, because again, this is the first time I'm hearing most of this stuff, I need to know about this water spread deck, Josh. Was there a Krabby? Because you know me, I'm an Aqua Shower Krabby person. That's one of my favorite cards in Gym Leader Challenge. Did Krabby hit the board in your matchup?
There was no Krabby hitting the board in that matchup, but I'm sure there was a Krabby in there. They can't play water spread without Krabby, can they?
I mean, you can, and other people do. Most people do. But
guys, you wouldn't believe this. He every day, every morning, he was like, "Good morning. Are you going to play GLC today?" No, he didn't say that, but he was asking about Gym Leader Challenge for sure. And I was like, he was really, I didn't want to disappoint you whenever I missed the first Friday by 7 minutes. Last year, they had the GLC tournaments at like 3:30. This time it was at 2, and I was like, golly. Anyways, what did it for me while I was late by 7 minutes was because my GPS told me to turn a certain way. And then after I turned a certain way, it told me I should have turned a different way. And it added 15 minutes. And that's what did it. I knew it was going to happen too as soon as I turned. That's what really disappointed me there.
I'm sorry you had to spend an extra 7 minutes in your car too. Long trips.
Oh man.
Well,
yeah,
talking about all this regional stuff, I'm so excited for Atlanta now.
Oh yeah,
seeing what all you guys got to do. There's a lot of info about this one. So the fact that we get to hear you talk about your experience, we're gonna see some deck lists here in a bit too. Just getting excited for Atlanta. I'm gonna play all 3 GLC events. I'm not gonna try to touch standard, so it's all gonna be about GLC. I think I've already talked to Logan, and for those of you who don't know who Logan is, Logan and I stream some webcam matches every Tuesday now. He and I were talking about, he's going to be in Atlanta, talking about running a Cardboard Warriors designated tournament after the event on Friday for people who can't make it to the event or people that do just want to kind of hang out afterwards. So Josh, if you come to Atlanta, you get to hang with Logan and me, and that'd be super sweet.
That would be kind of cool. That would be really cool. But we got a couple lists to talk about coming out of San Antonio. We got Neon City Gyms. That's what the name is in the Discord. I'm not sure of the actual name, but we have a sweet water deck. It's kind of hydro pump mixed with special wells. But the main point I want to bring up to this deck is that it has one of my favorite Pokemon and a cool card at that. The Deluge Blastoise and Baxcalibur combo. You don't see any Frostmoth in this deck, do you, Jeff?
No, you don't. And I really like the double stage too, because water is so good at getting that out. You've usually got a Drizzile or an Inteleon coming down relatively early that can grab you Irida. And as long as you have the basic down, Irida grabs you Rare Candy and typically a way to grab the evolution. So you can just get straight into that stage 2. And what that allows you to do, and what that probably allowed Neon City Gym here to do, is just utilize Kyogre to the max. I mean, that card is busted, right? Kyogre is 4 energy, dynamic wave, does 180 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, active or bench, and then it even gets to conserve energy when you have your Rain Dancers in play, and they just pop back to your hand, so you can just do it all over again. And that's something that Frostmoth can be a little awkward with, because Frostmoth's Ice Dance only attaches water energy to the bench, so you gotta go Blastoise, Baxcalibur if you're trying to get that most out of Kyogre, at least in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and I mean, not even speaking of how this deck runs, but do you see how blinged out this deck is? I'm pretty sure it's blinged out to the absolute max. You have the secret rare Blastoise, which alone is right now, it went for a little while. It went for a lot before, Baxcalibur came out because it was more sought after. I think it was up to 300. Now it's down to 140, 150, but that's still a lot for a Pokemon card to play in your deck. But on top of that, you have Hex Maniac. You got the N that's got even more value. It's not the helping hand in, it's more of the thinking in. And you got all these, you got Chorus, you got Teammates. You just got all these blinged out cards. You got the rare candy. That secret rare candy right there is like $100 by itself. Which I'm gonna go on a tangent right quick. I don't know if anybody knew, but Leonhardt, his first regional was at San Antonio. He's one, a Poketuber. He played Charizard, and anyways, in 8 cards, he had the value of $2,000 in 8 cards. He played the secret rare Ultra Ball, which you see right here. That secret rare Ultra Ball he played a 4 of, which this card alone is like $350 to $400 a piece. That's how much that Ultra Ball costs. It's insane. And that rare candy is $100.
Pretty bonkers.
I know. But back to the deck.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell this is Neon City's go-to deck, or else they wouldn't have it blinged out. And, you can see him posting up in the Cardboard Warriors Discord all the time, all the bling that he gets. I think he owns like 8 of those Ultra Balls, by the way. Every time he sees them at like a relatively reasonable price, he'll buy them and then posts into the Discord and be like, I got them. So if you're looking for Ultra Balls online, they might be gone. Neon City's got them.
He's got quite the collection if you've seen it before. Like just the random stuff that he posts. It's quite the collection of Pokemon memorabilia cards, this and that and the other. It's really impressive.
Yeah. Now, looking at the list, there's a couple of kind of interesting decisions, I think. First off, if we're going to talk about Max Bling, not the illustrated art Baxcalibur line. You're not seeing kind of the fancy like the Salvador Dali, like impressionist art, or he's not an impressionist, a surrealist art style of Baxcalibur there. And so we have the blinged version, the shiny version of it there. And I'm guessing that's to match the 70 HP for Jabax, because I don't think the 60 HP one comes in the blinged version. It's the illustrated art version. So maybe that's the choice there. I think illustrated art looks much better, but you know what? Shiny has its place too. Other kind of interesting things, you got Hisuian Basculin instead of Vulpix. So getting those 2 Pokemon to the bench was really cool. And something else I really, really like in these Hydro Pump style decks is Sonia as a card. You guys know me. I love Sonia. I love flexibility. Give me a good, strong, flexible card.
Yeah.
Sonia is a really good setup supporter because it lets you get 2 basics and put them into your hand, which you can then bench if you need to. But it also has the caveat that you could also get 2 water Pokemon. It's an either or it's an or situation, 2 Pokemon or 2 energy. So it's great when you have Rain Dancers, when you can just basically have a supporter Professor's Letter that can help you get going in the early game.
Yeah, that's like 3 instead of your standard 2 ways to search out energy if need be.
And then the only thing that I'm kind of like maybe scratching my head on a bit is Evo Soda is in the list, but not Evolution Incense unless I'm just missing it. And I find that a little odd because you do have Drizzile and Inteleon that need to come down with abilities. And then if you're going with an Irida Rare Candy play, you can't use Evo Soda to search out the evolution to get that rare candy play. So I'm wondering if that was just maybe like they didn't have that specific card choice. But the list is strong. It went 3-0. Like, you got Dive Ball too. So maybe it was just they expected to see maybe some evolution lock, which is definitely a real thing. So can't fault Neon City Gym for that inclusion too. Just probably something different between what they would do and what I would do.
Yeah. Kind of like a personal choice thing. But nonetheless, you see that it, was successful and able to 3-0 on a relatively big tournament, in person. So that was kudos to Neon City on his win.
They even got like an interview on like the official Pokemon stream, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the link to that. So if anyone knows of that link or whatever the deal might be, post it down in the YouTube comments down below.
Yeah, they did do an interview. And I was thinking about watching it earlier today, but I didn't know where to look. It was probably like somewhere on stream where you had to like go look through it a little bit. So
yeah. If I have to fast forward through standard to get to like 1 second of GLC content, it's probably too much work for me. So
I'll look for you. Jeff.
So someone could look for me. Yeah.
We'll do a watch party after this.
Sorry, it's not that I don't like standard. It's just that I've never played it and I have no idea what it is. And it's just not for me. Like I know instinctively. So again, for all the standard people out there, like keep enjoying it. It is for you. And I love that for you. But like all I want to do is play with my like bad single prize Pokemon like I did back in 1999, which, all I did was really trade the cards back then. But that's all I want to do. Bad single prize Pokemon. I want it. Give me GLC, baby.
Next up, we got Aussie Briar. Is Psychic list. This deck definitely saw some success. And I've got a little fun fact. It was she went 4 wins, 0 losses, so undefeated the entire weekend. I think she played Friday and Sunday and not Saturday, if I'm understanding correctly, and got 2 ties, so undefeated for the entire weekend. But we see Dragapult. And we've spoken on the podcast before that Dragapult was one of those cards that kind of fell off there for a little bit, kind of fell off. Nobody really played it, but Icy really said, you know what? You guys can always, kind of like that when Andy threw down and said, I don't want to play with you anymore to Woody. When everybody else was doing that to Dragapult, Icy stood her ground and decide to keep playing Dragapult. Dragapult is awesome, has an ability where if you attack into it, you have to flip a coin. And if it's heads, I can't remember, depending on heads or tails. If you flip heads, I believe it becomes invincible. If it's tails, you hit through it. And anyways, it can very much provide a way of just not taking any damage at all, and your opponent is forced to go around it sometimes, unless they're forced to hit into it like I was in our match. In our match, I actually got real lucky and I was able to 2-shot it without having to worry about the ability at all. I still had to worry about it, but I was able to hit through the ability. But most of the time, that isn't the case. I got super lucky. I don't think I've ever hit through a Dragapult in my life. But you have Dragapult, and then beyond that, you have your Buddy Catch Glade, which allows you to search for any of your supporters. You have the Xatu Malamar line, which lets you have some energy acceleration Malamar from the discard Xatu from your hand to let you draw 2 cards as well. So you have some draw power with that. And then, Unknown put in some work, being able to discard itself to then draw an extra card. That actually put in a lot of work and allowed her to be able to kind of draw through the deck and, get some of those viable cards that she needed in the moment. I remember one Unknown drew a Curlia, and that really, we were just draw passing for a long time. And then that Curlia came out, and I was like, all right, I've lost. I'm going to have to crawl my way back. But other than that, it's kind of like you see your Mimikyu for your way to, hit back at those strong Pokemon. Mimikyu is so awesome, especially paired with Dimension Valley. You can get through things with only 1 energy, or you need a special energy if you're hitting, against something that requires a special energy to hit for more. But yeah, this deck did very well and went 3-0 on Friday, 102, the win being against me on Sunday. But what do you find interesting about this deck list besides it also being blinged out of its mind?
Yeah, it's blingy too. It's bright. I mean, it is blinding. That's how.
And I mean, look at this picture etiquette.
I mean,
this is a new picture, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a Malamar. For those of you who are just listening to us, there's like a Malamar plushie. There's a Dreepy plushie. I mean, this is great. This person, Icy Briar, loves Dragapult, and you can tell that. And that's like the greatest thing about Gym Leader Challenge is like we just get to play our favorites, right? Like all the Pokemon have been printed as non EX, GX, single prize Pokemon. So like if you want to play your favorites, you can. Whether or not they're playable or not is, something to be seen, but Dragapult is definitely playable. And I know we talked about it not necessarily seeing a lot of play these days, but like Dragapult Lux Cape is still just a busted. If we're going to talk about combos today,
yeah,
Dragapult Lux Cape is a ridiculous combo. Because even if they are successfully attacking into it, it's still just living with the Luxurious Cape, and then you have a chance. We played it on stream against Weeder back when Weeder and I were still doing Thursday Dragonite together. And I think that he missed on 7 coin flips, and just like Dragapult just like won the game on its own with a luxury escape.
Yeah, they can do that.
It was great to see. So this list is really cool for a number of different reasons. Obviously, there's a Mew. Bench Barrier Mew is in this list, and you guys know me. I'm the always play your Bench Barrier guy, and it's so good. I mean, Psy Power, 1 energy, put 3 damage counters on stuff. It's such a good Pokemon. This deck is really looking to utilize Scoop Up Max to the max. You've got the Oricorio here, which when you play it from your hand onto the bench, you get to basically just use it as a Professor's Letter, go find 2 energy. And when you're playing the Xatu, that lets you attach energy from hand and draw 2 cards, like that's going to be pretty key. You can scoop it up and do it again. And of course, you've got Galarian Articuno here when you just need to go after the bench, right? Psychic is really good at being disruptive, and with on-board disruption like Galarian Articuno that can power itself up, because once you play it to the bench, you can just attach 2 energy from your hand to it, and then 1 more energy from hand, or with one of your other, Malamar or the Xatu, you're good to go. And then you just scoop it up and you can do it again potentially. Like, that's great. And then because you have all of this, like maybe discard synergy here, or maybe scoop up synergy with Oricorio or Galarian Articuno, or even with Unknown, it turns like your Tulips and your Claras, like this deck is playing Lana's Aid, like it turns those cards into value. Like, hey, now I get to get Oricorio back, play it to the bench, and now I can get more energy for my deck. Fitting is winning. I am winning. Unknown becomes another draw card off of a Tulip or Lana's Aid. So it's just super cool to see this list. And it's just like the epitome of a mid-range list. Like if you're looking at turbo decks and you're looking at, slower controlling decks, like this is like right in the middle and can pivot roles to do either or depending on the situation. I mean, we've even got Lieutenant Surge here, Josh. I mean,
yes, I know. I was about to say that. Yeah. Yeah, this Lieutenant Surge has the ability to really just, lean into that comeback, especially if you have, if you're looking to use a Tulip, but you also need to find a couple other cards or like a boss that you need on top of being able to answer back to something. Lieutenant Surge lets you play 2 extra supporters if you're down on prizes. And it's a really good card for very niche situations, but those very niche situations actually come up a lot more than you would think. And with Dragapult paired with that, you're looking to just stay alive and be able to, just not even soak up damage, but just completely negate your opponent's turn sometimes with a Dragapult. And then you have Clovell that lets you search up to 3 Pokemon that has 3 basic Pokemon that have 120 HP and put them into your hand, which allows for the Unknown to be able to go to hand, because I believe it has to discard from hand to be able to. You have to discard from hand to be able to do that draw.
Bench, I believe.
Is it from the bench?
Mm-hmm.
But it's always good to have cards come to the hand. A lot of the time, it's important because it can also, like you said, thin the deck. A Gloria, a Bridget has to go to bench. So if your bench is full and you only have like 1 space, those other 2 Pokemon are going to stay inside the deck. But if you need to thin out the deck a little bit more, Clovell gives you the ability to be able to do so. And I think that's really cool. On top of, you mentioned Evo Soda earlier in the list, we have Evo Instance and Evo Soda to make sure that, we are getting those evolutions out.
Yeah, I mean, evolutions are the life force of these psychic lists, getting into Kirlia so you can get that draw power going, getting into Malamar, getting into Xatu. So even cards like, see Mysterious Treasure, Level Ball, Ultra Ball, like psychic has so much search. So like the fact that, you have to include those cards, it's a must. You have to. And you mentioned Clovell and getting those cards to hand. Like, when you have Galarian Articuno and Oricorio that both have play from your hand effects, Clovell is a killer card. We saw Clovell see a lot more play, specifically in Psychic, when Marshadow was still in the format. And so Icy Briar here has just said, it's still good. You might just have to kind of swap some things around. And Oricorio has kind of maybe filled that gap to a certain degree. But that's cool. And something else that's really cool here is TM Evolution. You don't really see TM Evolution in a lot of Psychic lists, but I really like it here. For a lot of different reasons, especially if you can go like Wobbuffet, energy attached into TM Evolution. Like it just makes like ability lock plus getting set up just so much better.
Yeah, I think I think Wobbuffet with any TM, well, like a setup TM or even a Devo TM is really good, because it does shut off, all those different abilities, unless if you're psychic Pokemon. But it does shut off all those abilities and just let you kind of possibly even buy turns really easily because, a lot of people rely on abilities quite a bit. There are very few decks out there that actually don't rely on at least 2 to 3 abilities, and some even more so than that. So yeah, I do love the TM Evo Wobbuffet combo. Speaking on combos, but another card that I think I've seen in some psychic decks is gaining more popularity. I'm sure she's had her muscle band in there for a while, but muscle band is also really helpful, especially like you can put Lux Cape on the Dragapult, you can put muscle band on the Dragapult, but it lets you hit for those crucial 130, 140 damage outputs because it only hits 120 and then 3 to the bench, 3 damage counters any way you like on the bench. So it kind of allows you to reach those unreachable numbers if you're just hitting 120, and that's very helpful in and of itself as well.
Yeah. Plus the Mimikyu is like, does Psychic really need to hit those huge numbers? Because we talked a lot about, in some earlier pods where like Hex plus Muscle Band might be your way to deal with Wailord. Just like it's Mimikyu counter energy. Like that's how you do it, right? Like it might even just be Mimikyu. I think this is Mystery Energy here. So Mimikyu Special Energy plus Dimension Valley might be your answer to Wailord. So you don't necessarily have to hit those big numbers. The only Pokemon that might really be an issue is like Torterra, that 190 number, because you have 180 pretty solid with this deck list. You can hit dual Wailord, so like a Torterra might be an issue, but Wobbuffet just shuts down grass, so you just put that in the active, you're good.
Yeah. One instance I did have with Mimikyu was I used a Revenge Attacker Kangaskhan to be able to take a KO, and then she plopped down Mimikyu counter energy, did the same thing back since she had a little bit she was down on prizes and was able to just kind of come back so easily with that Revenge Attack Mimikyu at the time. So I thought that was kind of funny when that happened. I was like, man, Mimikyu is just so good, but it's really good for decks to be able to have answers on some things. It's just sometimes it's so funny how easy it is to get a copycatter going sometimes because it's only 2 energy. And if you just, foresee something happening, sometimes your opponent has to be like, okay, do I take the copycat out or do I take out the looming threat that's in front of me right now? And then sometimes you're forced to take the looming threat out because if you don't keep the prize trade going, you're just going to get, behind. So those copycatters, really do a lot, do a number in that.
Yeah. Basically Mimikyu and maybe Foul Plays Aurora. Like those are the two copycatters in the format. I guess like Neoligo sees a little bit of.
There's a
it's a Clefable
fighting Sudowoodo.
Oh yeah, Sudowoodo. Yeah, of course. But here's the thing about fighting: like, just play Groudon. It hits 240. You don't need Sudowoodo. I mean, it's small, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
There you go. But that's our second deck we have, and then the third deck that we have for this one is mine. It's my Tag Team Titans Go deck that I've been slowly, I've been playing this for 3.5, 4 years now. It's a deck I've been playing for a long time. And like I said, I've been trying to bling this thing out. So we have another blinged out card here. And I bought some more bling for winning this one down there in the corner. I got Lex Cape, Switch Raft, and Lucamine. I was like, I'm going to go to the vendors and I'm going to go find myself some deals for I just felt really good. So I went and got some ones. But yeah, we have this water deck. It hasn't changed much since the last time. I do prefer Alolan Vulpix over Basculin. I used to play Basculin and Vulpix, but decided to cut that Basculin to have more space for some other things. I recently went down a draw supporter because, I'm trying to fit that Lost City in again, because I love that card so much. I decided to, make a cut for it. So we have Lost City in there. I decided to, instead of Chaotic Swell, to go Parallel City and just kind of get real disruptive per se with it. disruptive with the Lost City and Parallel City. It's real disruptive now. But yeah, it's ran like a dream. I Another switch I had made was weakness guard for counter energy. That's something that you can kind of like flip flop a little bit on. But other than that, it's kind of my standard tag team times water deck. But it ran really well. I enjoyed being able to get the play with it, and I always have a real fun time playing this type of water deck. And when the new Wailord, we talked about this before we got started. When the new Wailord comes out, I'm going to have to build a second water deck because I also kind of want to go back to my roots. And it was kind of Hydro Pump before this Silver Tempest Wailord came out. And I think I'm going to go back to my roots, Jeff, and build just a whole nother water list again with the new Wailord because I just love that new Wailord. It's 10 plus 50 per energy on there. Takes four energy to get it going. So you're hitting 210 just with 4 energy. It's insane. And it has 240 HP. But there's my points there to show you guys I got points there, and that those points went straight to that fanny pack. But other than that, Jeff, do you see anything besides the Lost City that you have on this deck? Do you have anything interesting to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, first thing is obviously like compared to the other two lists, the bling here is not up to par, Josh. I mean, we've got Cynthia in Hex Maniac as just normal arts. Like that's
no, man. Garbage. That's garbage.
It's straight up unacceptable, Josh. I cannot believe that you would even take a picture of this. You might as well just throw in the trash. But
I did after this.
Besides that, I really like some of your deck choices. Are there some areas where I'd go different, Josh? Yes. I've seen some people maybe dropping that Articuno. I don't know if that's a thought that you've had. I think you actually might have mentioned before that you've kind of been back and forth on this Blizzard Veil Articuno about whether or not to include or not.
Yeah.
Obviously, you stuck with your gut here. Do you still feel like that's the right call?
Yeah, I think Blizzard Veil Articuno has a really good place in lists like this to where whenever you're playing one energy accelerator, and there are times where you don't have anything else but like spend a turn or two to build something else up,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you want to have something like Articuno in the active to be either soak up a little bit of damage if they're not hitting enough, or to keep them from bossing. They can still escape rope you, but now you're asking them to have 2 cards in their hand at the same time. And I think Articuno is like in a list like this, I've kind of settled on it needs to be in this. Wishy-Washy or something like that is a good choice, but I think it just belongs in like a Hydro Pump list.
Yeah.
If I was playing Hydro Pump, I would play Wishy-Washy over the Articuno, but in this sense, in this context, I think Articuno does belong in this style of deck, just because you want to rely on being able to have a wall up there, because if you're setting up your wall, you don't want it to get hit. You want something else to get hit while you're setting up your Titans, and Articuno just provides that.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that I've always needed to ask you is in this water list where you don't have a lot of fast, aggressive starts, why did you go town map over something like Gladion? Because to me, it just feels like if you Gladion for Drizzile, if it's prized and you can just grab it, that's great. Gladion for reversal, if it's prized, that's great. Like that to me just seems like getting that card would be more important than be able to look at your prizes, since you're not an aggressive deck, Josh. Those are just my points. That's what I would do. But is that something you've thought of, or has town map let you down?
Town map has not let me down yet. In fact, a lot of the time, Titan, like I said, I mentioned this earlier, where one of my favorite combos is like a get Satotl out early, get an attach, try to get an Irida or something like that out pretty quick, and you can have a Titan going by turn 2, your turn 2, and it's very easy to be able to do that. I've actually been able to do that quite a bit. And if you do that and you're able to get town map out pretty quick, if you get Titan out pretty quick, you're going to have at least 2 to 3 turns, unless if they have something else out there that's also going to hit for quite a bit of damage. But you're going to have a turn to 3 turns to be able to get other things going. And town map just allows you to pick your prizes. And most of the time, if something's prized that I want, the only thing that I'm ever worried about being prized is Wailord. Because if Wailord's prized, you can just town map, take something with the Titan, and pick up the Wailord while Whelmer's waiting there on the bench. But if it's the other way around where Whelmer's prized, you can just use Hisuian Heavy Ball to go and get it as well. So anytime that I wasn't playing town map, because I don't think I played Gladion either for a little bit there, and there was just too many times, especially whenever I went to go play Full Grip that one time in September, I prized Wailord, I think, every game, but I was able to get Sud Titan up very early, very quick, but I just had no way of knowing where my Wailord was. So it would be about like mid to late game by the time I was able to get Wailord. And then I had already been crawling my way back the entire time. Whenever I could just have town map, could have picked that up early, and boom, had Wailord up a lot earlier, which usually helps win games. So far it's worked like a charm. Like after I put that town map in, everything else has went, actually incredibly smoother.
You know what always grabs Wailord? Gladion.
Gladion. But what if I want to use a different supporter in the same turn?
Gladion. It's always the right answer.
Town map doesn't have a full art. Gladion does. Gladion.
Obvious, correct answer. No. I've been coming around more on town map. I usually play like my usual rule of like what prize card to play, like what prize card searcher to play is, town map for aggressive decks. Like if I'm playing Zapdos that can donk 80 damage, like I'm 100% throwing town map. Turbo colorless, that dark, I'm going to play town map. And then if I'm a setup deck with important pieces, I usually go Gladion. And so that's kind of when I think of this deck. When I think of a Hydro Pump list, I usually think of those as kind of setup decks where like Gladion can get me Drizzile, and that could like unlock my hand and get me set up. So like that one Gladion becomes kind of like just, yes, you're using your turn to go get something from your prizes, but it's that piece that can fix the game for you. And then Peonia, I like Peonia in my water build just because I always prize like 7 energy. I know there's only 6 prizes, but somehow all 7 of them find their way into there.
All 7 of them, man.
So Peonia is just a great way to it unlocks your bad hand sometimes. Like you get to put 3 cards for later, grab 3 cards. Some of them might be water energy setup cards. So I like Peonia in some very specific builds, but Town Map and Gladion are my favorites. But that's just a thought I had when I was looking at your list. I think those might be the only 2 things I do different from what you're doing, Josh. But obviously you went 3-0. You're a master of this deck, and what I say doesn't matter. And it got some good discussion out of both of us. So
yeah, a lot of my deck decisions, especially with this one, there's always questions. Like I've seen people ask, why doesn't this list play an Arvin? Why doesn't this list play a Field Blower? Why this, why that? And my answer usually is, a lot of the time, the more familiar you are with a deck, for one, the better you'll do with that deck, regardless of, power. And then also, like, if your opponent is expecting a Field Blower and you never play it, they're never going to, sometimes whenever you play unconventional decks, that's going to be a one-up to your opponent because they're going to expect certain things to be played. And sometimes they're never going to be played, but it's that precaution that they're going to take sometimes that's going to play against them. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's why rogue decks will do so well. And it's one of the reasons why, like, when I show up to my locals and I'm playing like a homebrew, people have no idea what I'm doing. But if I were to play the stock Gym Leader Challenge list, they'd all be like, go after the Charizard. But now I'm playing Cinderace, and they're like, do I kill Reboot? Because I don't even know what that card does. So, like, if you play that card that no one knows what it does, or if you, like you said, don't play Field Blower, I think, a perfect example of this working too is when Andrew Mahone took his Psychic list with no tools to Full Grip games, and I think ended up winning that night with it. His opponents had Field Blowers that he just blanked. Every deck is playing Field Blower. and just blanked it.
Yeah.
He's running, switch outs instead. Psychic has mystery energy. So, you're just like, I can already hit 240 with Wailord. When is Field Blower going to be good?
Yes. And that's like one of my thought processes behind that. Is like the only time that's ever, came back to bite me not playing a Field Blower is in that summer championship, no, it was the winter championship or whatever, the winter brawl. And I was played against that water deck that had from Tamer that had that cloister in there. And that was the only time I was like, man, I need a Field Blower. But other than that, I've never wanted a Field Blower. I just play a stadium to get rid of stadiums, and then you can have your tools if you want your tools.
Yeah. What I will say is, I like Field Blower. I'd play it, Jeff. But you played this deck a ton.
I have Field Blower in almost every other deck. Like every other deck has a Field Blower except this one.
Turns out it's real good, especially the Cloister. By the way, that Cloister list, I think there are 2 people at my locals playing the Cloister list now. So shout out to Tamer Mushroom. I got a Cloister ended up being someone's favorite, so that I sent them that list, and they're like, yes. So they put it together, and then the other list is kind of a Wailord list like yours that's running their prize packages. They run Peonia and Town Map, so they can always get what they want off their prizes.
Something like Gladion would be good too. Like Gladion and Town Map would be an interesting combo as well.
I think Gladion has to be face down prizes.
Yeah, you would have to play Gladion first.
Yeah. But I think Peona lets you just pick them off of your face up prizes, but you have to put them back face down.
Face down?
Yeah. So
that is a cool combo too.
Speaking of combos.
Ooh, speaking of combos,
but we have the combos.
we got Hop's leering eyes. Now we're going to talk about some Journey Together cards, more specifically the Hops cards that are be coming out. And I believe there are 3 Pokemon and 3 trainers that we're going to talk about today. And the 3 Pokemon that we're going to talk about today are Hops Double, Hops Cramorant, and Hops Snorlax. Jeff actually had a gameplay kind of displaying Snorlax and Cramorant's oppressive gameplay just, in the new decks. And then it's kind of questioning Double if it should be in the deck or not. It's like a free boss. I think it might find a place in some lists, but it's one of those things that like you would have to, build around just like a Hops deck, because in the trainer cards, you'll see they'll have some interactions specifically for Hops Pokemon. But Hops Double, like I said before, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may switch in your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. So it's a free boss through an ability. You got Hops Cramorant with Fickle Spit. For 1 energy hits for 120 if your opponent has 3 or 4 prizes remaining. And then you have Hops Snorlax with the Big Belly ability. This attack of your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And by itself, if you have that guy out and you're attacking with Cramorant, you're going to be hitting for 150 for 1 energy if it's 3 to 4 prizes remaining. That's kind of insane. And with the ability of cards like Night Stretcher, Rescue Stretcher, Revive, anything that brings things back directly to your hand, it's just easy to recur these cards. It's so easy. And anyways, it hits for 140 for 3 energy dynamic press, but it does 80 damage to itself. Sometimes that doesn't mean too much. You just won't be able to attack twice with it. But you could also play it with Lux Cape to boost its energy. You can play Malo and Lana to be able to heal. Jeff, what did you find in your findings without talking about the tool cards yet or any of the trainer cards? What did you find out about Hops Pokemon?
Well, first off, you mentioned Hops Snorlax doing 140, but it boosts itself. It's doing 170.
170.
So the Pokemon are fine. When you look at them right here, face value, you're like, wow, these Pokemon are good. Don't get me wrong, but they're fine. Like, there's nothing super busted about them looking at them right here. the first build that I had, and actually the first and second build, I just went Hops Cramorant and Hops Snorlax. I didn't play Hops Dubwool. But the second matchup that we played was actually against the new Wailord that you mentioned earlier. And I think that I'm more on the including Hops Dubwool train into a Hops deck for a couple of different reasons. One of them being it's way easier to search out a Pokemon than it is to search out a trainer card like Boss's Orders. So if you need to boss up a Wailmer, which I think you're going to have to do because I think you're going to have to hit that Wailmer before you can hit that 240 HP Wailord. Like, that's just almost impossible for a deck like this to really get to in a single turn. So I think that Hops Dubwool is actually going to be pretty good for that. And then the second thing is if someone's playing a Pokemon that just bricks basic attackers like Ice Cube or Nidoqueen, you know, most of these turbo colorless builds, which is kind of the vision I see for these lists, the only option they have to attack into a card like that is currently Babarrel. And so if you add Hops Dubwool into the mix, you can boost that headbutt damage, which again, it's 80 for 3 colorless energy, but with just Big Belly Snorlax, you can get it up to 110. There's another boost we're going to talk about in a second that can be 140. And then there's another boost on top of that that's going to get it to 170. So that's Nidoqueen range. So there's a chance that this Hops Dubwool maybe does need to be played, just depending on what the meta does to adjust to this card. And of course, how this deck might need to adjust to the Journey Together Wailord that's coming out.
Yeah. This. I think the Hops cards are going to be absolutely insane, but I don't see them being too bothersome. Now, when we go to the things that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, we might be a little bothersome when going into it, and that's going to be Hops Choice Band. Hops Choice Band, when the Hops Pokemon the card is attached to uses an attack, the attack costs 1 colorless less and does 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it is an energy get rid of her. It decreases the amount of energy that your Pokemon needs to use. So it can make any of those Pokemon Cramorant for free and Dubwool and Snorlax for only a twin double or a DTE. You can put that on there, and Hops Choice Band allows you to be able to just attack very easily for all that damage. Hops Bag is great for a Hops Pokemon deck. Gives you an out to be able to search your deck for up to 2 basic Hops Pokemon. So it can find your Wooloo, it can find your Snorlax, it can find your Cramorant. And then you got Postwick is a stadium that allows your Hops Pokemon to do 30 more damage even on top of all the other boosters. And you have your boost Postwick, you have your boost Hops Choice Band, and your boost of Snorlax. So if you want, you can just, you don't even have to use those specific cards yet until later if you want to just use your regular Snorlax up until then and just kind of hit 150 with your Cramorant for your, third and fourth prize there when your opponent has 3 and 4 prizes left. It's actually kind of, and if they get stuck there, you're just Cramoranting for free, depending on the situation. And it's really interesting. I'm excited to see these guys in the format. There's so many different things, and we'll talk about combos here in a little bit. But yeah, the Hops Pokemon, the Hops tools, Hops items, the Hops Stadium is just going to do so much for the format. Going to kind of be meta warping in a sense. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that was my original thought. So like our first game was we played Hops Snorlax deck against like Badoo Grass, and it was, we went 4-1 with the Hops list over Badoo. Like the one game we lost was the first game where Grass just had like a bonkers like TM Evo into like turn 2 Rillaboom Venusaur, like a sort situation. So it's like, okay, like you're going to lose to Grass if they can do that. But then every other game was just like, cool. I get to do the thing. I like bossed Guzma, did all of that stuff. And it was cool, but it was Grass, which Grass is like maybe the entry point for like a good deck in Gym Leader Challenge. Like if you think your deck is good or you want your deck to be good, it should be able to play against Grass and do well or do reasonably. That's at least my thought to it. Like that's the entry point to what a good deck is. And so we played that, and then we played into Wailord, and the Wailord deck just stomped. Like, going in, I kind of knew that water was going to be a tough matchup. Logan actually had the opposite opinion. He thought it was going to be, hops all over the place winning that game. But I kind of knew from previous experience that water is a tough matchup, especially with big, tanky 240 Pokemon. So when I look at like cards like Hop's Bag and Postwick, I don't think they're good enough, because Hop's Bag is just 2 basic Hops Pokemon. You're only playing 3 in your deck. Odds that you start 1 is probably like reasonable. Odds that you prize 1. So it's just like maybe a worse, like, whatever can get you like Fan Rotom, because Fan Rotom could get you like Dub Wool already, or the Wooloo already. So like, just play like Artisan or Capture Energy. Like, I think Hop's Bag probably doesn't have a good enough space in a list like that. And then Postwick is just like the 3rd damage buff that's going to boost your Hops Pokemon to 90. And so besides the Dub Wool all of a sudden hitting, from 80 to 170, the Snorlax is only going to hit 230, which isn't enough for the new Wailord that's coming up. The, what's it called? The Cramorant is going to hit 210 with all of those buffs. And 210 isn't necessarily like a damage point that you really care about too much. It's usually like 180. So I don't think that Postwick actually helps you hit that additional damage mark beyond what Hop's Choice Band and what the Snorlax already do. So I don't think that there might be space for Postwick in the deck. Will people try it out and think it's good? Yeah, I think so. Could I be completely wrong? Yes. But when I went through my initial thought process for it, I left out Postwick. The 90 plus damage didn't seem to matter very much.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like you said, it's just not hitting that 240 threshold. But other than Wailord, what other Pokemon are you not going to hit in that 240 threshold?
But, I mean, what are you hitting in 210 too, Josh? Like, that's the thing. It's like, you don't need that extra 30 on the Cramorant. Just add 60 to the 120. You're hitting 180. And then if you want to throw, a powerful colorless energy to hit that 200 mark, like, you can. Like, you have all the tools to already hit 200. Why play an extra stadium?
Oh, that's how you're going to hit your 240 with Snorlax. You're going to hit for 250. You got to have that on. No, you're not doing that, because you're trying to do it for the double energy. So
yeah, it's just so
much. Yeah, it might be one of those tech cards you put in if you're really trying to tech against a Wailord deck. If you really want to push it, because it, you'll be able to attack first turn with it. But if you want to add that extra energy on there whenever they get that Wailord evolved, yeah, by all means. But yeah, the stadium and the Hop's Bag probably aren't going to make it into too many lists, because Hop's Bag only lets you look for 3 of your Pokemon. And like you said, if they call, just 2, lets you look for 2 of your Pokemon. I think I was thinking about Fan Rotom looking for 3. But like Fan Rotom can help you get your Wooloo if you want to get it. But other than that, I mean, you just want most of the time the Snorlax out pretty quick, because the Cramorant's not going to do anything until your opponent's taking prizes, and it's just going to sit there on the bench as like possible getting knocked out before you're able to use it anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only problematic card out of these Hops cards, I believe, is going to be mainly the Hop's Choice Band. And that's because it enables just an incredible amount of flexibility for them. Like, Hop's Cramorant isn't going to need to have that energy attached to it at all. And if you play anything like recurring of tools like Alana's Fishing Rod, I believe, lets you get a Pokemon and a tool back in. There's I think it's an Eco Arm or something like that kind of shovel. Anything that shovels tools back in, you're able to recycle and recur the Hop's Choice Band, because there's no way to necessarily lost zone it besides a lost vacuum.
Yeah.
And most decks don't want to play lost vacuum, because resources are resources, and you don't want to just try to tech for one card to lost vacuum a possible Hop's Choice Band. It's just a lot to ask for. So Hop's Choice Band is going to be slightly problematic, and when I say slightly, it's probably going to be a lot. I mean, it's the talk of the town on this one. It's more talk of the town than Snorlax even. I remember whenever it was announced that first day, and we were all looking at the Pokemon, and people were just, posting about it. And anyways, I saw the Hawk's Choice band. I said, has anybody seen this? Has anybody read this yet? And I was like, that's insane.
That's the card. I had to read it multiple times because at first I was like, wait, 1 less energy and 30 more damage? And then you're like, just like the possibilities are endless. And,
Yeah. I thought I was misreading it.
Me too. I was like, it does both? Like, why? Why does it do both? So go ahead. Josh mentioned a couple ways, Eco Arm and Lana's Fishing Rod. I think Roseanne's backup might be a pretty complete card, especially if you're running it in a colorless list. It lets you get a colorless energy, a stadium, a Pokemon, and a tool card. And you get to do all of those things and put it back in your deck. And all of those things are things that colorless are going to be running. So grab it now. I think the full art's like $3 or $4. It's super cheap. So get your Roseanne's back up. I actually, and this is being asked by one of our viewers, any chance that something from this gets banned? If anything was going to get banned, I do think it's the Hop's Choice bans, like what Josh was kind of alluding to earlier. But I just don't think it's going to be as big a problem as people say it's going to be. I think Turbo Colorless right now is pretty good, and I think it will feel exactly like Turbo Colorless before, except now their Kangaskhan, which could be the Snorlax or the Fickle Spit stuff, is maybe a little bit easier to KO because the Snorlax damages itself, and they have to find maybe an extra piece for Hop's Choice Band. So I don't really know how it's going to feel, but like when I was playing it, I was like, this is kind of just like what already exists in the format, and it felt little to no different.
Yeah, the only thing, it exists, but now it exists double. You know what I mean? It's like double exists. So it's like two. It's like I said, I want like another, like a gym leader Wailord to be announced, and that'd be hilarious. I think it'd be hilarious. I don't want it to happen, but like I said before, it would just make me laugh.
Yeah, it hurts because it's another Snorlax, and we've all been on the bad side of that unfazed fat Snorlax for a while now. So it's just the name. The name is getting a reaction out of a lot of people.
Yes,
to a certain degree. And just the fact that, if someone's favorite Pokemon is Snorlax and now they get to run two, like, it's just great for them, right? Like, I don't want to take that away from them. You get to play double X, baby.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's hitting for 170 and it does 80 damage to itself. So it is it might be more balanced than the one that we already have because we have therapeutic energy, which keeps it from, I think actually Protection Cube keeps it from being damaged, right?
But you can't, so the problem there is like you can't play Protection Cube.
Yeah, you can't
play the Choice Band, and so like you have to pick. What I think is like the only real downside, there's two downsides to it. Like the two reasons why I see it getting banned, if it came down to it, is you don't expect your high HP basic to get donked, right? Hey, I'm playing Necrozma, I'm playing Giratina, and these are just the first two that popped into my head. Those are 130 HP Pokemon in Psychic that you're like, okay, nothing in the format should KO. I should be fine if I don't bench anything else. We're good. Well, Hop Snorlax can do 200 damage off of a Guzman Hala on the first turn. So that feels kind of bad that nothing is going to be beyond the donkness of the Snorlax. And then the second thing that will feel kind of bad to us is when they go Hop's Choice Band onto the Cramorant on one of those 3 or 4 prize turns, and then they're able to attach to something else and kind of get a free attachment while they're taking a KO. And like those are kind of like the two things that are just like, that's busted. That's not what Turbo Colorless was doing before. And that's why Hop's Choice Band is on the Baisch watch list. This is where we need to have some fancy graphics and like a whole like Baisch watch list, like whole like sound thing. Like this is on the Baisch watch list. Hop's Choice Band. Is it oppressive? We'll see. We'll keep playing games with it and let you guys know.
Yeah, I think going forward, I may have heard it mentioned or not, or maybe I'm just imagining things, but I think Andrew said something along the lines of having things in the format for a set, like let it play for a set and we can see how it actually plays from there on then. So I'm not sure if I heard that correct or if I even heard that at all. So don't quote him on that, or don't quote me or him on that. But,
the precedent is Raikou. We didn't get Raikou with all the cool stuff. So when it's obviously busted, things can happen. And then if it's not, like, let's let it play out. Can the meta adjust to a Hops choice band? Is Tool Jammer going to be a card that we see getting played? These sorts of things. Maybe. I mean, and Silent Lab might just get better to turn off the ability on Snorlax to stop boosting the damage to a certain degree. I don't know. Silent Lab's already pretty good. There's tech cards out there. Fighting exists. We'll see if fighting could be a reasonable, what's the word? Deterrent.
Way to keep it low.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, that's going to kind of segue us into our combo segment specific for this podcast. Yeah, buddy, we got some combos, stuffed snacks of the pizza variety here.
What's your favorite combo, Josh?
Like snack wise?
Yeah, are you a combo enjoyer? Like the pretzel based snack combo?
I have seen them, and I think I've only had like the pizza once before in my life. I haven't had them in such a long time, like so long that I forgot they existed. And I was showing my wife this, and she was like, "Oh, the combos." And she was like talking about the combos. I was like, "You know about combos?" Anyways, she likes the pizza ones as well.
Yeah. I'm a pizza fan too. And for those of you at Combos Incorporated, we're still sponsorless. Just throwing that out there. Think about it. Just have a whole.
We could make it. Yeah, we could have a combo segment in the middle of every podcast. But this one's specific. We're going to go quite a bit of combos on this one. And we just kind of went over this combo right here. We have the Guzmahala on the first turn. So first turn going second allows you to use Guzmahala, allows you to search for your special energy, your choice band, and your artisan to be able to get your Snorlax out and about if you already didn't start with him in your first hand, allowing you to be able to hit for 170 on your first turn. Oh, yeah.
200.
200 on your first turn going second.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the best combos ever. Not ever, but that's probably one of the better combos now in existence whenever it does drop. It's kind of crazy, as you alluded to before, where you're able to, Oko big basics. There's no big basics when it comes to hitting 200, is there?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, all right, your opponent just spent the entire turn doing this, right? Like their Guzmahala discarded their hand. It got Hop Snorlax this. Maybe they started Hop Snorlax. Maybe they had to get the Artisan. If they have to get the Artisan, they still have to have a switch out, right, to get Snorlax into the active to be able to hit. Plus, they have to have already had the opportunity to go second. So there's a lot of things that need to go. Plus prizing. I mean, we didn't even mention prizing, right? There's a lot of things that have to, go right for this to happen. And then on top of all that, it's just done 200 damage, but it's done 80 to itself. So it has 70 left. So now we got to think about like what cards in the format could theoretically respond and do 70 damage so it doesn't feel like so bad. And like besides donk Pokemon like Hoopa or Zapdos or Fan Rotom, like if you're just like your Hop Snorlax, then you're playing colors against it and you can Fan Rotom back. Besides that, even fighting, like, Hitmonchan does 30 plus weakness, that's only 60, so you're still 10 short. You would need like a damage buff to get it done. Just like, can decks respond to the turn one Hops Snorlax in a reasonable manner? And we'll just have to see. Again, I'm not sure of the answer. I just listed off a couple different ways that you can, but who knows, Josh? Who knows?
Yeah. And I mean, who knows that you're going to be able to pull off this combo, consistently. It's kind of easy, relatively easy to be able to pull it off. But will you be able to pull it off is the question. And you talked about, discarding your hand to be able to even pull off this combo. At the same time, if you're able to also get a Fan Rotom out on that first turn, it allows you to search out, your Bibarel, your Minccino, your Cinccino, and be able to kind of have some setup Pokemon to also help you on your oncoming turns. After that, if you've discarded, some resources to get to this point. Because, if you are presented this specific Guzman Hala and you have this ability to do so, 100%, it's 65% of the time it works every time,
No,
you know?
100%.
So it's good. So you're going to be doing this anytime you're presented the ability to do so, most of the time. So I think this is going to be a nice combo, and we're going to just see how the meta reacts, to see how consistent it is, and to see, like you said, it's going to bring down to 70 damage. I mean, 70 HP, and sometimes that's kind of easy to get depending on the deck that you're playing.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm with you. I'm with you, chat. I don't know. I don't know. But I do want to see it play out because I want to see Hops do well.
Yeah, me too. Anyways, Jeff, I want to hand this over to you.
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite things in Gym Leader Challenge is that ancient traits are allowed. And I know I talked about my fire list at the beginning of the episode where I finally got my fire badge. Well, it had one of these combos. And I'm so happy because I don't know if you remember, Josh, but at the beginning of the format, ancient traits weren't allowed. They were actually part of the ban list. There was a special exception clause in like the rules. And so they realized, hey, ancient traits aren't actually that good. Let's bring them back and let people use them. And so like the only one that saw play for the longest time was Articuno, which we'll see here in a bit. But, with the printing of Technical Machine Evolution and, Devolution and Crisis Punch, all these different TMs, all of a sudden all the other ancient traits got really bad, or really good, really, really good. And so you got Torchic here with the Omega Barrage. We've got Natu with the Delta Plus, which lets you take an extra prize. So like just being able to like plan out your game and like prize map it out to where you can go Torchic, Blacksmith, attach Crisis Punch, plus maybe have an attachment from hand, and just be able to like take the last two prizes with Torchic with the barrage ability is just like the greatest thing. That's actually how I won my last match for the badge, for the fire badges. I had all of that in hand to go through. I think it was like a Rhyperior and it was a Colossal on my fighting players board for the comeback win. So I just love it. And then if you're looking at this Natu here, we've had Run Jamie Run, who we already mentioned earlier, his psychic combo list, which is up on the Gym Leader Challenge website, is running like Xatu, Devolution Spray, and Blindside, so that you can find that way if you can to, devolve it after you attach energies to it, get 3 on it, Blindside for the 2 prizes for the comeback victory too. So I just love Delta traits, this ancient trait Pokemon, and these evolution and devolution and Crisis Punch TMs that we have access to. It's just my favorite thing in Gym Leader Challenge right now.
Yeah, with the release of the technical machines, it kind of gave these guys some more places to live. Of course, you're going to play Natu if you play Xatu, just because it's kind of the optimal Natu to play, because it does have such an interesting attack that lets you take 2 prizes, but also having the Devolution or the Crisis Punch or what have you, even the Blindside, it just unlocks it even further. And then with your double attackers, you can Crisis Punch like you did for two times right there. Just knockout,
200 heavy damage twice, baby.
Yeah, it's insane. And the TM evolutions also are like pretty balanced themselves, because at the end of the turn you have to discard them, and you have to have Torchic and Crisis Punch at the same time at the very end of your game when your opponent has 1 prize left. It's almost like playing Wo Chin, where you're trying to get down to 3 cards left in your deck. It's like one of those, like everything has to line up pretty decently well for you towards the end. And I think those are some really cool combos that you can kind of pull off there.
Yeah. And unsung hero of the TM combo is Kofu. I mean, just being able to put 2 cards on the bottom of your deck and draw forward 4. I got to like save this combo. Like instead of having to discard my hand, I just got to put on the bottom of my deck. Wait till later. I got to Macargo stack it on top of my deck at some point. Like all these things that can happen in Fire. So shout out to Kofu. He should be part of this combo too, because Kofu is such a busted card. A card that I don't think a lot of us thought was going to be as good as it is.
Yeah, Kofu is a really good resource saver. Another combo we got is something, we thought we were going to see this just pop up everywhere, whenever Xerosic Machinations came up. But we have Lieutenant Surge's strategy. If you're down on prizes, let you play 2 extra supporters on that turn, and in which case you have a Xerosic Machinations. Your opponent discards cards from their hand until they have 3 cards in their hand. And then if there's a stadium in play, you can discard any stadium in play. If you do, your opponent's discard 3 cards from his or her hand. So this combo right here essentially leaves your opponent with a 0-card hand. And how does that feel, Jeff?
Good question.
Do you like having 0 cards in your hand?
I conceded immediately. Like this happened to me. I queued into an asynchronous game. Shout out to Espio, by the way. He did this to me. I said, I'm going to value my time, and I conceded and moved on. When you're in top deck mode on turn 2, things are pretty bad. Obviously, this gets made a lot easier with Call Signal Magneton, which knocks itself out. You're giving your opponent another card to their hand, but you're just about to delete it. So you just get to delete another card if you give them a prize. It's just a combo. It's a combo. But then you get to do this, go search 3 supporters, and you can find these 3. Obviously, Surge can find other things too. We saw Surge and Icy Briar's list earlier. It can be played for value. It can be played in a combo list. I mean, this is a combo if ever there was one, and this is a combo that will make you cry. This plus me equals sad.
Man, I am a fan of Lieutenant Surge's strategy, and there's 2 things. Thing number 1, there's no full art of Lieutenant Surge's strategy. There's no bling to Lieutenant Surge's strategy. It's like it's terrible. It's a tragic. It's a tragedy. That you could have all these blinged out cards and not a Lieutenant Surge. And number 2, I think Lieutenant Surge was just one of those cards that you might not throw it in everything, but you could. You could throw it in anything because you're always going to be down on prizes at some point, whether or not you are. And you might have the ability, like water decks have shady dealings, to be able to search out other cards and, to have the ability to play that. So you could just throw this into anything and be able to use it at some point. It might not be the optimal way, but I mean, you can definitely, have a combo with Lieutenant Surge strategy, and that just one of the enablers. This isn't the only combo you can do with Lieutenant Surge, but this right here is definitely a strong combo that it enables it to do so.
Yeah, and I love Surge too. It's such a unique card that has such a unique ability. Like, it's the only card besides maybe Dual Brain Magnezone that lets you play an extra supporter, and it's really cool for what it does. But I think it's like one card, like one other printing away from being kind of busted, and then we're kind of like, okay, maybe like being able to play extra supporters isn't what we should have in the format. And I think it's just like maybe one card from saying bye-bye. That card hasn't been printed yet, but I just feel like, it's not made to do fair things, is all I'll say.
Oh, yes. Another combo that we have is similar to the first one. Guzman Hala, again, has so many different combos that you can pull off with it. One of which that's not listed is you can play this in Dragon decks, and you can have the Double Dragon Energy and Drampa. But in this case right here, we have Artisan, Capture Energy, TM Evolution, which Artisan can look for a basic, Capture can look for a basic. And if you have an energy in your hand, you can then use TM Evolution to evolve those basics into stage 1s. And depending on what you're using, some decks allow you to attack twice, such as Torchic or Bunnelby allows you to be able to pull off like a double evolution, so you can get stage 2 Pokemon out just like that pretty easily. And this is just one of those combos that are very nice. They feel good when you're able to pull them off. Have you ever been able to pull one of these off before or seen it?
Yeah, this is like a core component of my Meganium list that plays so many stage 2s. But I call it the sad combo, the feels bad combo, because when you look at all the pieces you have to have, not only do you have to have Artisan and Capture Energy to get 2 things to the bench and to get TM Evolution here, but you also have to have the evolutions for the basics that you're looking to evolve early, right? So it's not just these 3 cards, which is basically just Guzmahala plus the 3 that you grab. It's those 3 plus the 2 basics plus the 2 evolutions. And if you're going Torchic, then you have to have 2 more evolutions. So this could potentially be a 9-card combo. And I guarantee you that some of those will be prized and you will feel bad. So that's why I say, I think, like, even though I'm running Torchic in my fire list, I ended up cutting TM Evolution because it just never happened. It never happened the way I wanted it to.
Hey, give it a good price check beforehand, and just, you might feel bad, but you might be able to feel a little less bad if you do your price check for which ones you want to evolve.
I mean, you get to look with Guzmahala to check, but the thing that you want to evolve is going to be prized. You're like, oh yeah, you're playing grass. You're like, I got Turtwig. We're going to get into Grottle. It's prized. Guaranteed.
Everybody's stage 1. If it's stage 2, everybody's stage 1 is just prize.
That or the basic. And you're like, should have played Arvin this turn and gotten the Hisuian Heavy Ball. But you can't until you play the Guzmahala. Now you're out 2 cards from your hand. Actually, it's an 11-card combo because you just discarded 2 cards from your hand. So you know what? Best combo in GLC. All 11 cards, baby.
Oh yeah, that's a whole 6th plus of your deck. It's definitely one of the biggest combos. But a fun combo that literally has combo in its name is the Hitmon Bros combo. You got Hitmonchan hit and run for 30 for 1 energy. Then you got Hitmonlee's special combo for 1 energy. You can use this attack only if your Hitmonchan use hit and run, but you do 90 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And if you use that, you got Hitmontop that has the finishing combo because you got to successfully in 3 turns do all 3 of these. And finishing combo allows you to hit for 60 to each Pokemon on your opponent's side, which when pulled off is absolutely bonkers. Hitting 60 to everything is pretty great. But your opponent can also see this coming from a mile away, which it's very kind of helpful that it's so cheap to pull off. But also you got to make sure that you got to commit. If you don't commit, you're never going to hit this combo. So you have to commit. And sometimes if it becomes disrupted, you could find yourself in a sticky situation where you're like, man, I should have just set up Okie Dokie, or I should have set up this card instead. But we got a real hero that flew in. What is this Halucha about?
The Halucha is the real hero of the entire combo. I mean, like the damage counter that it provides, people don't know this, but the damage counter that it provides is the best thing you can do. You pair that with Scoop Up Net or Ninja Boy to put it back into your deck, or even just get Rescue Stretcher to get out of your discard pile. This Halucha has won me more games of Gym Leader Challenge than any other card that I have ever played. And you guys know me, I have played so many Gym Leader Challenge decks. This Halucha is the real hero of the entire combo. I mean, that's the reason why I played Ninja Boy. It's just I want to put it back in my deck and do it again. 60 HP basics are seeing less play. Now you got 70 HP basics, so you hit them on top, throw down this Halucha, and get to work getting rid of those things. The 90 from Hitmonlee plus the 10 from Halucha is Grottle. Can't tell you how many grass matchups going after Grottle on turn 2 has won me. I mean, it's a combo, and then within the combo, you've got another combo, which is the Halucha combo, and then within that, you now have Okie Dokie, which is a 1-card combo. So if you want to play the most combo-ish deck, it's even playing Guzmahala. If you want to play the most combo-ish deck in all of Gym Leader Challenge, play Hitmon Bros. It should just be called Combo Bros.
Bro. Comboception, man. Comboception. A combo within a combo within a combo.
And you could eat combos while playing Combros. While playing Challenge with your bros.
Bros. Another combo, pretty simple here. Articuno has the plus, which if you knock something out with that, you get to take 2 prizes. Articuno is one of those fun cards that if you're able to pull it off, you take 2 prizes, you feel really good about it. Tri-Edge isn't the best attack. Sometimes it's 20 plus, flip 3 coins. This attack does 40 damage for each heads. Anytime I've used this attack, I have flipped one heads maybe. It's not a whole lot. I don't know what it is about Articuno being just very evasive towards heads, but it does not hit it. But with Technical Machine Blindside, it allows you to hit for 100 guaranteed. You're already putting 3 energy on it for Tri-Edge. Might as well put 3 energy on it for Blindside. So once you get on there, you're able to attack any one of your opponent's Pokemon as long as, they don't have anything that keeps it from being attacked like a bench barrier. But you take 2 prizes once you knock that out. I found Articuno, a while back, before I knew there was a giant wide world of GLC. And I remember looking through, I was like, GLC cards. They're what I didn't really know everything. And I found this in a game exchange. It's kind of like a place where you can just find old, retro stuff and whatnot. And anyways, I found this in a binder and I was like, wow, this is a really cool Articuno. I think I might use it. Anyways, I realized I didn't like it because of Tri-Edge, but Blindside really lets it fly. No pun intended.
Yeah. I mean, this is the exact thing that you just said is the reason why I went Articuno Blindside over just the Tri-Edge attack. There's nothing like, oh man, I've only got to get 2 heads and win the game. To all of a sudden, oh, I got 2 tails and I lose the game, right? It's such a roller coaster of emotion. So this Articuno is at least good for that. Your heart rate watch is probably going all the way up and all the way down while this is happening. But man, if I'm really surprised that this doesn't see more play because water has a lot of stuff already built in. And if it's just Inteleon put damage counters to the bench, Articuno Blindside might be reasonably worth it as a comeback mechanic in a lot of water lists that are already built to a certain degree. And then if you add just like a little bit more to that, there's the, what are the free attackers called? The rainy form, cast form. There's the cast form that can spread damage. There's the Aqua Tower Krabby that spreads damage. Palafin, the one that does 2 twin on switch. I think it's Justice Kick.
Yeah.
Palafin. His first attack does 30 to the active and 30 to the bench. It's another Pokemon that already sees play. It can set this up. And the card that I think is a little bit underexplored is there's that Frozlast that we got in, at least in the last year that puts a damage counter on each thing that has an ability. So that's another card that just kind of like ticks up your opponent's damage.
Yeah.
Counters.
And it's every turn too.
Yeah.
So whenever it goes from one player to another player, because I played against a friend with that today, and it was just, kept ticking up.
Yeah.
And if you're not playing anything healing, that thing can really help set you up.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be worried about KOing your own artillery, but there is that.
Yes.
But yeah, so like Articuno Blindside, it seems good, and I've really enjoyed it. I played it with Lana's fishing rod, and this Articuno took 4 prizes, and then my Palafin took 2 prizes, so I only had 3 2-prize turns. It was like I was playing standard. And so
taking out them EXs, them Vs.
Yeah. So if that's what you want to do it. Articuno Blindside is awesome. It's like not too Blindside, which we talked about earlier. I do think that again, every single deck in Gym Leader Challenge needs to have a comeback mechanic, and these are cool ways to have cards that you're already going to put into your deck, and then just add a TM to help you out, and that's what this does.
Yeah, TMs allow lots of different combos. One of my favorite combos ever, though, is in the grass spread, or at least in my grass spread. We have Jumpluff, Rapid Strike Energy, and Rapid Strike Swirl of Swirls. Now, Rapid Strike Energy and Rapid Strike Scroll of Swirls are able to be on Jumpluff because Jumpluff is a Rapid Strike Pokemon with a Fluffy Barrage attack, can attack for twice in a row. And with the Matchless Maelstrom being paid for with the Rapid Strike Energy, and hopefully you can get a Grass on pretty quick, you're hitting for 60 on the bench. So it's kind of like a Hitmontop combo because it's about the same amount of cards that you need to be able to pull it off, but you might be able to pull it off in less amount of turns if everything kind of goes well for you. Guzman Hala is a really good card that allows you to be able to pull this off. And just, it's a really nice feeling combo whenever you can get it off. I play it with just a bunch of other different spreaders in my grass deck, but I really, really love this combo. It might be my most favorite combo in the game, actually. And I think this was my second or third deck I ever made, and I just enjoy playing it so much. I need to change the sleeves on that specific deck because they're starting to get real bad. But yeah, this combo is a special place in my heart.
Yeah, no, for me too. The first ever official Gym Leader Challenge tournament that I played in, I drove an hour from where I'm at in Columbia, South Carolina to Augusta to play. And, they put me on stream. I think I had the bye first round. So I was like 1-0, like having only played this format for a little while. Like, hey, you get to go on stream. And for whatever reason, I was paired against the fighting deck, but the fighting deck that was weak to grass, not the psychic one. So I was rolled up there, turned to jump pluff, did ridiculous damage to the active that was weak to grass. Or actually, I don't think that it doesn't matter. Maybe it was just a 60 HP basic because you don't apply weakness or resistance. No, you do apply. So maybe it was a big one.
Yeah.
It's been a while, chat. But yeah, I just like plowed through the active and then KO'd everything on the bench. And I think there was maybe 170 HP basic that survived. And my opponent like put it up and was like, you know what? I'm going to go get a snack and just conceded. I'm like,
so that is this, does this stream live on YouTube?
I don't even know. It probably was on Twitch. Unfortunately, Cardboard Castle's Gym Leader Challenge scene kind of like dissipated. One of the key players moved away, and they did like a big 2K. Like we went down there, they were giving away a Moon Brion. Like they were trying to build it up. And once that guy moved away, it kind of disappeared. So we had to kind of start our own thing up here because I was fine driving an hour to Augusta back in the day, but that's where we're at. So I'm not sure if that stream lives on, but that was my only win on the day because I went bye, win, loss.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Be on stream and just kind of just have a pop off turn against a deck that you have a good matchup against.
No skill needed. I looked way better than I was.
I looked and felt way better than I actually felt. Oh, man. And speaking of TMs, again, we got TM Evolution. We got Bumblebee and Torchic. I may have actually mentioned this earlier already with the Guzman Hala combo, but this, like I think I said, I think I've already spoke on this, but you're able to just kind of get a double, like a turn of basic into a stage 2 in the same turn. And Jeff said earlier, an 11 card combo. This might be one of the biggest combos in the game. You got to have it absolutely nothing prized. And I've actually seen it happen. I think I played against a fire player once that played Torchic TM Evolution and was able to get a Delphox and a Charizard going really quickly. Unfortunately for that player, I was playing my water deck at that time, and it did not do too much. But that was a fire round for that person. That was pretty fire turn.
I'm glad it wasn't a wash.
Oh, goodness. We need to go to the next combo before we get too out of hand with the...
Right. We're getting to that part of the night chat. But what we do have to say about this combo was when Paradox Rift was spoiled, the Gym Leader Challenge world lost their mind over Bunnelby, Torchic, TM Evolution. Like everyone was like, this is going to destroy the game. And it ended up it's unplayable in colorless to a certain degree because no one's playing Archeops anymore, and getting a fossil to the bench on turn 1 is almost impossible. And the other stage 2s like Porygon Z and Slacking maybe aren't necessarily worth it enough to run this combo that's already kind of mid. Plus Bunnelby has 2 colorless retreat costs, so it's And then even Torchic is can fire afford it? Because fire already isn't that good. So are you going to try to do this thing that maybe will happen? But if it doesn't, then you have all these bad cards in your deck. So it didn't break the world. It actually ended up not being that good. But when it does happen, it's just the equivalent of an evolution donk. If someone were to Hoopa me, that's great. If someone were to Torchic TM Evolution me, it's just a Hoopa donk in my brain.
It's just a delayed donk.
Yeah,
your opponent just got 2 turns for free early, Well, not for free, but it had to have this combo.
Again, remember, value your time. You can concede at any moment. You do not have to keep playing that game.
Then we got Garbodor with a Garbotoxin ability. Whenever there is a tool attached, your opponent has, actually it's like a hex where both you and your opponent do not have abilities. So whenever a tool is attached to this Garbodor, it's basically like just a free hex.
Yeah.
And you play these different cards like Bursting Balloon, Giant Bomb, Shopping Center, and you're able to kind of control your opponent's ability usage. And Bursting Balloon, Giant Bomb at the end of your opponent's turn kind of fall off and allow you to use then your ability. Shopping Center allow you to take off your tool from your Garbodor and kind of reattach it whenever you're ready to pass turn or attack, leaving your opponent without their abilities. So it's just one of those combos that allows you to very much control when to turn off and turn on all the abilities in the game. And I've actually seen some people have some pretty decent success with this Garbodor.
Yeah. I mean, this was kind of an idea that Weeder was playing against me the other day, and he had this Bursting Balloon, Giant Bomb Garbodor, like kind of like loop going. It was really cool to see. So like just the fact that like there are these two tools that discard themselves and let you use your abilities while at the same time kind of like make your opponent wary of going after your Garbodor is really cool. So Giant Bomb says that your opponent has to, if your active Pokemon with the tool attached takes 180 damage or more, that it does 10 damage counters to that attacking Pokemon. It's just kind of nifty. Like what Pokemon is doing 180 or more. It's like Wailords, it's the Snorlaxes, like 180 is kind of that number. But what you're really looking for is you have a tool that discards itself. And then Shopping Center is just so cool. If you do get it, plus the Garbodor, again, you just get to pop the tool back and then reattach it once you've used all your abilities. It's just a really, really neat combo. I'm not sure how good it actually is, but it's just like, it's neat. Do it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, actually. And Garbodor being a stage 1 is a lot easier than if it were a stage 2. So it's definitely worth it if you make sure if you kind of build around that type of strategy to where you might just play this in just like a regular kind of big basic deck and just turn your opponent's abilities off to where you're able to knock out something such as when you're saying you're playing against Hydro Pump, you're turning off their Hydro Pumpers with this Garbodor. And the only option that they have is to hex to turn off Garbotoxin, so it kind of leaves your opponents, if they're kind of not in a good situation, to kind of claw their way back to any type of civilization per se, and being able to do and perform what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And if they hex to get rid of your Garbotoxin, they get rid of their own abilities too.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's that. But, I think with, we talked about Snorlax earlier. We talked about that new Wailord. I think Garbodor stocks are going up like right now. There's a lot of abilities. I think ability lock is going to be one of the best things you could be doing in this new perceived meta, the Baisch future meta. And so I think that this Garbodor is great. And then if you want abilities, you have Gallade. Gallade's the most busted ability you could ever have. Get to use it. So that's why I think that this is really cool if we're going that route in the future, which I think we might.
Mm-hmm. Then we got this combo right here. Jeff really likes this combo. It's one of his favorite combos in the game. You get the Battle Compressor, Rescue Stretcher, Tulip, Night Stretcher. This allows you to have, if you have these guys in hand, along with the Battle Compressor, allows you to kind of, finagle your way into being able to play a roundabout, in Jeff's words, Bridget or Gloria.
Bridget.
I think this is one of those combos that really you're losing a lot more than you're gaining.
Well, I mean, if you don't have anything better to do, right? There's so many.
Yeah, 100%.
There's so many 100% that don't have a lot going on turn 1. If you're Psychic Lost Zone and you get a bad hand, things can go bad south or south fast. And so having Tulip, which is one of those cards that deck does play, and Battle Compressor, just kind of being like a setup card is kind of nifty. But the hilarious thing might be like you Battle Compressor for 2 Pokemon plus Tulip and throw them in the graveyard, and then you use VS Seeker to get Tulip to then get those 2 Pokemon. Like, so it's almost like an infinite, like you could have infinite combos within the Battle Compressor loop. Like you could even grab like Gengar plus 2 other Pokemon. Gengar puts itself on the bench. You could discard it and do it all over again. It's like, it's kind of hilarious. So the Battle Compressor combos are infinite, I'm sure. But just one of my favorite things to do with it is it's a pseudo setup card when you combine it with things like Rescue Stretcher, Tulip, Nessa, Night Stretcher.
It's a funny way to play Buddy Buddy Boffin. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's a real funny way.
All right, Josh, the most busted combo. I had to include it. Like, I made Josh put this one on the slides. I was like, Josh, I noticed that you're missing the best one. And we've got Slacking here. And Slacking is an ability lock, which I think is going to be busted. But its critical move is a very important part of why this card is good. 3 colors energy, it does 160, but you have to discard an energy. Well, what if that just didn't matter, Josh? What if I told you right now that you could get a free attachment next turn? All you had to do was discard Recycle Energy. All right.
I would be in awe. I would not believe it. I don't know how you'd be able to pull this off.
Yeah. So I think this is the best combo in colorless by a mile. I don't think there's any other cards that we should mention. Slacking, Recycle Energy. It's the best thing you can do in all of Gym Leader Challenge, basically. And so I love this card. I love these cards together. Just want to discard for critical move and get that card back. And you know what? If I have Porygon Z in play, I can even attach more energy. It's just so free. It's too free for the bean.
Oh man, it's like one of those garage sales that nobody's at, and it's at the corner of the the corner lot, and it just says free couch. This Recycle Energy is a free couch.
Who told you about my yard sale?
I don't look you up on Google Maps at all.
Oh, all right. Got to talk to you about that.
But the combos are endless, and we want to know what your favorite combo or your least favorite combo is in Gym Leader Challenge. We really want to know. I want to know. There are so many different combos that you can just figure out, and that we may not know of, that you may not know of. But what is your favorite combo? San Antonio Regionals was such a fun time. This podcast was such a fun time being able to just kind of reminisce on the San Antonio Regionals Gym Leader Challenge tournaments. And, Hops cards, we're going to see what they're going to do, We're going to see what to do. But again, if you have a combo, let us know down in the comments. They're out there. They're out there.
I mean, I purposely left off your favorite comment. So tell me why I did that, and then tell me why it was Slacking plus Recycle Energy and why that's your favorite too.
I'm just I just really love free couches, and Recycle Energy is just a free couch to me. I like being able to attack discard over and over again. It's just so
every
combo-y.
Every
so
other
combo-y.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every other turn.
Yeah, Slacking can't attack.
Unless if you Tate and Liza.
Yeah.
Tate and Liza, switch, Cyclozar, Escape Rope, switch, Cyclozar. More combos are endless.
I feel like now, the more that I think about it, maybe just playing a TCG, maybe you just play cards? Maybe are the cards the combos?
Are the cards the combos, or are the combos us? Or are the combos the friends we made along the way?
Combros.
Oh yeah, bro. But anyways, that has been the Gym Leader Challenge Unfazed Facts podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Benson, and I got my co-host, Jeff Baisch. We're going to get off for now, but until the next time, go get your free couches. We'll see you later. Stay thankful.